What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to my M2 Competition. And in today's video I figured I'd give you guys a quick update on how the car's been in the last 5 months since I picked it up, because over the summer in just 2 months I've already put 10,000 kilometers on this car. So this is not gonna be a full review type video. You can find one linked in the description below the like button if you want to see something like that. This is gonna be more of an owner's view. I'm gonna tell what I've been up to with this car in the past 5 months. We're gonna talk about some of the issues I had, and of course we're gonna talk about current and future mods. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, how come I managed to cover 10,000 kilometers in just 60 days? Well, one of the reasons is the fact that I took a long road trip from Sweden, where I live now, all down through Europe to Romania, my home country. Then I did a bunch of kilometers over there just driving the car, and I've managed to cover around 7,000 kilometers in just a couple of weeks. In the last couple of months, however, I've only driven this car around 1,500 kilometers, and that's because I've now got a daily car and I just don't want to drive every single kilometer in the M2. I want to save this car to just drive the special kilometers, right? I don't want to do the whole commute to school and back and work and back. You get the gist. Now, before I go into details about my whole trip and how the car handled that long journey, I want to tell you my favorite thing about the M2 Competition. And that's the fact that this car is so usable, besides it being lots of fun to drive. Because it's based on a 2 Series, it's not as compromised as other sports cars are, compared to a Cayman or an Alpine, for example. Not only does this car have 4 actually usable seats, but it also has plenty of storage space, and even the boot is quite big. Now, for people wondering what it's like to have such a long trip in an M2, it's great. It really is. For me and my family, my wife and my son, this is the perfect car for fun road trips. It's obviously very fun for me to drive this car, and it's quite comfortable and practical to fit a family of 3. Of course, this doesn't apply to everyone, especially if you're used to carry around a lot of stuff with you. But for me and my family, 2 bags per person, it's just fine. The thing that surprised me the most about the M2 Competition compared to my old M2 LCI on this long road trip were the fuel consumption and the way this car sits on the road, right, on the autobahn at very high speeds. After the trip, I've calculated that this car averaged around 9 liters per 100 kilometers, and that's especially good considering the fact that it was full of luggage. There was simply no other space for even a laptop briefcase. Compared to my old M2 LCI, running a similar trip to Sweden from Romania, that's around 1 liter less in fuel consumption. I don't know where that comes from, but yeah. And where this car surprised me the most was on high-speed runs on the autobahn. When I drove my old M2 LCI on high-speed runs on the autobahn, when it used to reach 220 kilometers per hour, you would kind of feel the front end lift off from the road a little bit. The steering became very, very light, and it almost felt like the car was ready for takeoff, so to speak. So it was kind of scary. But that behavior is gone on the M2 Competition, as I've reached almost 250 kilometers per hour with it, and the car felt really planted on the road, and everything felt safe, and yeah, the car felt really, really good. During these 5 months of ownership, I've also took the car on its first ever track day. You can see a video detailing some of my experiences with it on track right below the like button if you want to have a look. But all in all, after 5 months of ownership, there's much more positives to this car than there are negatives. Now, if we're talking negatives, let me give you one example. And this is something every M2 Competition owner that picks up their car should really check on delivery. The coolant level. Apparently some M2 Competitions are getting delivered with low coolant level, and some dealers just forget to check that and they just deliver the car to you as is. And can you guess what kind of error the car decides to throw on the dash when the coolant level is low? Drivetrain malfunction error. Imagine the panic I had when I saw that message pop up on the dash. I was like, this can't be happening. I've literally picked up the car 2 hours ago from the dealership. I took it to the dealership straight away. They checked the level, confirmed it was low. Then they checked for any leaks, obviously. Then they filled it back up, and since then, no problem, and the coolant level is sitting at the same level ever since. But yeah, if you're picking up an M2 Competition soon, you might want to ask them about that, so you don't get the scare of your life like I did. Now, how about the spec of this car? Any pointless options that you shouldn't buy? Any options that are really, really good to have? Now, for me, the spec of this car is absolutely perfect, except for two things. One of them is the fact that this car has Apple CarPlay, and I'm not really a big fan of it. Instead, I would have bought the reverse camera. And the second one is the fact that they didn't really spec a heated steering wheel, and because it's winter here almost in Sweden, that option would have been great. I also wish this car had a bigger fuel tank. You can only do about 550 or 500 kilometers on a full tank, so yeah, that's kind of low if you ask me. But other than that, I'm really happy with my spec. The seats are absolutely fabulous. I even love the DCT gearbox, which I wasn't expecting to, because I bought it as something to make the car more usable for every member of the family. And I also love the sunroof. I would never get an M2 without a sunroof, and I know this is an unpopular opinion, but the sunroof just adds so much to the experience of an M2. It brings in more light to an already quite dark interior, and I don't know, you can even hear the exhaust better in the summer when you open it up, and I just like it. Now on to the mods section before I end this video, and the only mod I've done so far is the steering wheel, the paddles, and this quite cool carbon fiber steering wheel trim. New mods are coming, of course, but they're coming at a slower rate because I'm using only the money I earn from YouTube to buy mods on this car. I don't want to spend any money from the family vault, so to speak. It's just something I set up for myself, and yeah, it is what it is. I already have a couple of carbon fiber bits for the exterior, but I'm just waiting for Black Friday deals so I can get one more, so I have the complete exterior carbon fiber look. But yeah, I'm also looking at exhaust options, but that's a lot of money, so yeah, it's taking some time for me to decide. But yeah, that's kind of it, my friends. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have more questions regarding the ownership of an M2 Competition, just write them up below the like button and I'll try to answer every one of you based on my experience so far of owning two M2s. But don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, my friends, and make sure you're subscribed for plenty more content to come, because in December I have a whole month of quite special videos planned for you guys. But that's been it for today's video, my friends. Please take care of yourselves and I'll see you around.